For 20 years, I lived a life that I believed to be a dream come true. I had a beautiful wife, three wonderful children, and a house that we had made into a home. Our life together felt like it was straight out of a movie, a perfect family, a perfect marriage. But behind the closed doors of our home, behind the smiles we shared in front of our friends and family, there was a secret so devastating that it completely shattered my world when it was finally revealed. It all started with the smallest of changes. Over the years, I had grown accustomed to the little things that came with long term relationships, the occasional disagreements, the routines, the comfortable silence that came with knowing each other so well. But then, things began to shift in a way I couldn't ignore. My wife, once so full of life and energy, started to pull away. She seemed distracted, constantly checking her phone, taking calls in private, coming home later than usual after work, and sometimes even leaving the house for hours without explanation. It wasn't as if she was being overtly secretive. She just became distant, emotionally unavailable. At first, I told myself I was being paranoid. We had been through a lot together. Marriage is hard and people change. Perhaps this was just a phase, or maybe I was imagining things. I loved my wife with all my heart and I trusted her. But deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. It wasn't until one afternoon when everything came crashing down. I was cleaning out the office, going through old boxes of paperwork, when I came across an envelope tucked away in the back of a drawer. The envelope was small, neatly folded, and addressed to someone named Mark. My heart skipped a beat. I immediately recognized the handwriting. It was my wife's. I knew I shouldn't have opened it, but my curiosity got the best of me. I carefully unfolded the letter, and what I read sent shockwaves through my entire being. The letter was from my wife, written to Mark, and it wasn't just a casual note. It was a confession, a heartfelt message about a relationship that had been ongoing for years. As I read the words, I felt like the ground beneath me was vanishing. My hands were trembling, my chest tightening. She talked about her feelings for Mark, how he had been a part of her life for nearly as long as I had, and how their bond had remained a secret, hidden from me. I couldn't believe what I was reading. I had never imagined in a million years that my wife had been unfaithful to me, not for 1 second. But as I continued to read, the pain didn't stop there. The letter wasn't just about one affair. There were mentions of others, other men who had been a part of her life in ways I could never have imagined. And then came the most devastating revelation of all. None of our three children were biologically mine. Each one had a different father. My heart sank. I felt as though the floor had been ripped out from under me, and I was falling into an abyss of confusion and heartbreak. I couldn't breathe. I didn't know what to do or how to process what I had just discovered. I had raised those children as my own. I had been there for every important moment, every milestone, every birthday, every school play, every tear, and every laugh. I had been their father, in every sense of the word, yet I was not their biological parent. I had been deceived, manipulated, and betrayed in the worst possible way. The letter was a gut punch, but it wasn't the end. It was only the beginning of the truth I was about to uncover. My mind raced with questions. How long had this been going on? How could she have kept such a huge secret from me? How could I have been so blind? That evening, I confronted her. My heart was pounding, and my voice was trembling as I asked her about the letter. At first, she denied everything. She told me I was imagining things, that I was overreacting. But I wasn't overreacting. I had the letter in my hands, and it was clear that everything she had been telling me for years had been a lie. Slowly, she broke down and admitted the truth. She confessed to having multiple affairs over the years. But that wasn't the hardest part to hear. The hardest part was when she told me the truth about our children. They weren't mine. Each one had a different father. Mark, the man mentioned in the letter, was the father of our oldest son. The other two children had different fathers, and I had never known. The revelation was like a tidal wave, crashing over me, drowning me in a sea of emotions: anger, sadness, confusion, and a deep sense of betrayal. My mind couldn't process it. I couldn't understand how she could have done this to me, to our family, to our children. I had trusted her with everything, and she had betrayed that trust in the most unforgivable way possible. The weeks that followed were a blur of pain, disbelief, and self-doubt. I couldn't look at my wife without seeing the lies she had told me. Every conversation felt empty, every interaction filled with an overwhelming sense of betrayal. How could I look at the woman I had loved for 2 decades and not feel disgusted? How could I possibly continue to live with someone who had lied to me for so long? And what about the kids? How could I continue to be their father when I wasn't even their biological parent? The hardest part of all was the children. I had raised them as my own. I had been there for them since the day they were born, supporting them, loving them, being their father in every sense of the word. But now, the truth was out. I wasn't their biological father, and though I still loved them deeply, I couldn't help but wonder how they would react when they learned the truth. Would they resent me? Would they feel betrayed by me too? Would they ever look at me the same way again? In the days that followed, I tried to make sense of everything. I questioned everything, every moment, every memory, every interaction I had ever shared with my wife. How could I have been so blind? How could she have kept this secret from me for so long? How could she have pretended that everything was fine when, in reality, our entire marriage was built on a foundation of lies? I sought therapy, both individually and with my wife, but no amount of counseling could fix what had been broken. The trust that had taken years to build was now irreparably shattered. I couldn't keep living in a marriage where the very person I loved and trusted had betrayed me in such a profound way. I needed to find a way to heal, to reclaim my life, and to move forward. As the months passed, I started to piece my life back together. It wasn't easy. There were days when I felt like I couldn't go on, when the weight of the betrayal was too much to bear. But with time, I learned that healing was possible. I couldn't change the past, but I could change the way I responded to it. I sought support from friends and family, leaned on my therapist, and slowly started to rebuild my self-worth. And as for the children, it was a painful journey. I didn't know how to explain everything to them. I didn't know how they would react. But I knew I had to be honest with them, just as I had been honest with myself. They deserved the truth, even if it was painful. So, I sat them down one evening and told them everything. It wasn't easy. There were tears, questions, confusion, and a lot of heartache. But through it all, I reminded them that I had always loved them as my own, and that would never change, no matter what the truth was. In the end, the children forgave me. They understood that I had been a father to them in every way that mattered, and that my love for them was real, regardless of biology. It wasn't an easy journey, but we worked through it, one step at a time. And even though our family dynamic had changed, we found a new sense of normalcy, one built on honesty and trust. As for my wife, we parted ways. The damage was too deep, and though I still had love for her, I couldn't continue living in a marriage that had been so severely damaged by betrayal. I filed for divorce, and though it was painful, it was the best decision for my mental and emotional well-being. It's been a long road to healing. The pain of betrayal never fully goes away, but with time, it becomes easier to live with. I've learned that the truth, no matter how painful, is always better than living in the dark. I've learned to trust again, but I've also learned that trust, once broken, is not easily rebuilt. If you've ever experienced betrayal, heartbreak, or a similar story, I hope this one resonates with you. And if you want to hear more real-life stories like this, filled with personal growth, recovery, and the harsh realities of life, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support means the world to us, and we'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my story. You're not alone in this.